Hi again. So this is going to be a demo on how to use a jeweler's saw blade, saw. Um, the blade is right here. It's extremely small. It's hard to see where the teeth are on it, but they're always on the outside where my finger is touching. The teeth should be running this way, so you cut on the downstroke. If I go like this, it won't cut me. If I go the other way, it starts to grab me. So the teeth are kind of sticking like that, always facing towards the handle. I use mainly size 1/0. It's called 1/0, 1/0, because that is a blade that works for different gauges that I use between 18 and 22 gauge. 18 is thicker than 22, so the higher the number, the thinner the metal. This happens to be 22 gauge, it's a piece of brass. And I use the Rio Grande Laser Golds right there. And the reason I buy these is that they're very forgiving. You can see this size right there, 1/0. They come in packs of 12. There's 12 in here, 1/0, a dozen of them. That's the part number. And when you twist the blade, it's very easy to break them. So these are a little pricier. They're not the economy blades. They're not the best that you can buy. But I always say to my students, just buy the most expensive tool you can afford. And I used to buy cheaper ones and they'd break all the time. So these end up lasting me a lot longer. Again, teeth facing the handle is down here. And I'll show you how to put that in another video, how to reuse a broken blade so you can get a little bit more usage out of it. But what I will do is show you the basics. Let me just go, first of all, you can cut metal, sheet metal with shears, and you can get away with a lot. So I have these right here. If I just wanted to cut a simple strip along here, I can just use my shears and cut it. Pretty easy. Then I have a strip. I would have to flatten that. But there you get the point. I have some heavier duty ones like this that will cut thicker gauge. But there's a limitation to doing that. When you start to get inside curves, acute angles, you can't use the shears effectively. Plus they distort the metal a lot as you're doing it. You might not want to distort what you're sawing around. So as you can see, there's distortion there just from that cut. So it's a really good thing to know how to use a jeweler's saw. And this one in particular this is the one I use all the time. This is called the Throat right there, and it's 4 inches. That's pretty good. Obviously you can get longer ones up to 8 inches. I have one of those, but I never use it. But if you buy one saw, get this one, get the most expensive you can afford. And they're not very expensive. And with this, you will be able to create many things out of metal. This will allow you to cut pieces from your sheet that you purchase. For example, let's just put this down here. This is a stencil. Say if you wanted to create a teardrop earring. I get my awl, which is this tool right here. It's got a pointed end. You just hold it in position and just scratch the surface for a guideline. That is going to guide you when you saw. I'll take it off and you should be able to see what you can see it right there. I'll zoom in a tiny bit. Anyway, so I should have actually placed it over here so as not to waste metal, but that's okay. I could actually cut this out with shears, but that's not the point of the demo. I could come in with the shears and just cut out tangents, 1, 2, 3, then come down here, a tangent, and I would clean it up with a file at the end. But we're here to learn how to use the saw blade, so that's what we'll do. I always use Burlife. This is a lubricant. It's also sold by the same company. And what you do is you run the blade in there like that. It picks it up on the teeth. And the trick to doing this properly is to hold your piece firmly. I usually get a finger here and a finger over here. And I'll come in from the side. Like I said, I should have put the teardrop closer over this side, so I won't, now I'm gonna have to cut all the way in there, but I'll just continue anyway. So I've got it pressed down with this finger, I've got it pressed down with this finger. I'm gonna do a couple of upcuts just to give me a groove, and then you just sort of cut your way in towards the line. Always keep the line in sight. Don't cut into the line. I've reached it. And now I'm gonna go up to the top of the teardrop. See how I'm moving it around with my fingers a little bit? And this brass is really sticky because it's not annealed. I haven't heated it to red hot. So I've gone past the line over there. When you are changing angle on a saw cut, don't turn the blade like that without sawing. You have to back up. I'm pulling back that way as I make the angle, as it comes around. Otherwise the blade will break for sure. And I can't really see that well. Yes, I can. There we go. I'm going to continue to cut down there. Always just try and use as much of the blade as you can. All right, just following the contour. If you feel it getting too sticky, and brass and copper are notoriously sticky to saw through, just get your burr knife, run a little bit more on, and it's much smoother when you do that. Watch out for the finger that's in front of it, my middle finger there. And there's a trick, not a trick, a safety tip. When I finish this cut, when I end up coming around the top of the curve here, it's gonna go through, and if my finger were in the way, it would cut it deeply. So now I'm holding really tightly here and here, just following the curve. If you don't hold it firmly, the blade will break. The metal's gonna go up and down like that, and your blade will break. When you're first starting out, you're gonna break a ton of blades, but that's okay. Okay, I'm coming out the end here. Never put your finger here. So obviously the down cut, I've cut this finger many times, and get my fingers out the way and just meet up with the first cut right there. So I can take this off. I can actually push that open, get the saw blade out, and there you have it. It's a little rough. Like I said, stay on the outside of your scribed line. And then what I would do then is use a file to come into the line. So then you'll just, because once you go in the line, you've ruined the shape. And with jewelry, 1/2 millimeter off looks really bad. So if you do want symmetry, remember to stay outside the line when you're sawing, and come in, clean up with a file, come towards the line with a file, and then sandpaper. Then you could put a little jump ring here, and there's one earring if you want, or a pendant, whatever. This could have been stamped, etc. And I think that's it. I will show you some other tricks in the next video.